Hi, friends, welcome back to Things You Can Do, a podcast where each episode I'll be sharing a different recipe for you to try if you're looking to improve your mental health and well-being. My name's Emily, I'll be hosting the podcast, and today's episode is going to be all about gratitude and how it can alter your perception of life. Did you know practicing gratitude has been scientifically proven to change the neural structures in our brains? Each time we feel thankful for something in our lives, our brain releases serotonin and dopamine, two hormones that enhance our mood immediately and makes us feel happy from the inside. The more we practice gratitude, the stronger these neural pathways become, and we become more positively natured. Practicing gratitude can help improve your sleep quality, boost your immune system, aid in stress regulation, and reduce anxiety and depression. As the author of the Hope Handbook, Germany Kent wrote, "It's the funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of the things you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things you lack." Hello, welcome back to Things You Can Do. For anyone that listened to the first episode of the podcast, thank you so much and thank you for coming back. And just in case there's anyone who has been listening to future episodes and has come back to the beginning to hear them all, cool. Thanks. I'm at the beginning now, so I don't know if that's going to be happening in the future, but I think I think it's possible. Yeah. Okay. So this week's episode, I'm not going to say week because I am not releasing these weekly like I thought I would. So this episode is all about gratitude and how it can improve your outlook on life. Um, and I decided to start with this recipe because it was the first thing that I tried when I ventured down the path to improving my mental and emotional well-being. And it is one of the simplest recipes to do. And it has had the longest lasting impact on my life. I'd even go as far to say that if you only tried this one recipe and stuck with it, you would just see such a vast improvement on how you feel about yourself, how you feel about other people, and how you feel about just everything that's going on around you. Obviously, the other recipes all have value as well, but this one in particular is super simple and super powerful. So, what I'm going to do in this episode is I am going to just talk you through my journey with it because even though the practice itself is simple, when I first started, I did find it difficult. And so I'm just going to talk you through what my experience was and how I kind of got past the difficulties that I came across. And then I'll talk you through the recipe. And I might even set a challenge for you to take part in. We'll see about that. Okay. When I first started practicing gratitude, I had a very different mindset to the one I have now. I was very focused on all the things I didn't like about my life and all the things that I thought were missing. And I also had a mindset that compared my life to the lives of everyone around me quite a lot. And that would include colleagues, friends, family, strangers on the street, and even vloggers I was watching on YouTube. I would look at their lives and make an assumption of what I thought their lives were like. And then I'd compare that assumption to my own life. And of course, that left me feeling like it wasn't good enough and like I needed to do more and have a lot more things in my life in order for it to be a good one. And obviously, that wasn't true, but that's what I believed at the time. So I was in a mindset of thinking I needed to have more clothes, a flat that looked a certain way, X amount of money in my bank account, however many social events a week, And yeah, that obviously left me feeling dissatisfied with my life. And I wasn't a very confident person, and I wasn't very happy either. So when I first sat down to practice gratitude, I didn't find it easy. And it was because of that mindset that I had. And it was also because of a belief that I held that you could only feel grateful for extraordinary things that were happening in your life. So, day to day stuff was just day to day stuff, and you only really felt grateful if big things were happening, like gestures, like being proposed to, or being asked out on a date, or going on holiday, or getting a pay rise, or winning the lottery. I don't know. I just thought that you could only really be grateful for big things that weren't normal that were happening in your life. So when I sat down and tried to think of three things at first, I found it difficult. And I really just had to bring it back to the basics and look at the things in my life that really just made it bearable and made it possible for me to get through each day, and maybe even brought some joy or comfort along the way. So, the first three things that I wrote were having a roof over my head, having a comfy bed to sleep in, and having a cup of tea. And they were the same three things that I wrote in my grateful diary every day for the first week, maybe even 2 weeks. And that's how much I was struggling to find good stuff that was going on in my life. So it wasn't until one day that it occurred to me that the job I had that I really despised at the time, I did not like working, and I didn't have anything positive to say about it. I didn't even want to have a job in the first place. It dawned on me that that was the reason why I was able to sit in my own space at the end of each day and write my grateful diary. My job was the reason why I had a roof over my head. It was the reason why I had a comfy bed. And it was the reason why I got to drink so many delicious cups of tea. And in that moment, something miraculous happened. I know, right? I was able to view my job in a positive light for the first time. Yeah, I don't know why it's making me laugh. And so the bucket that I had in my head that was filled with all of the negative things in my life, um, I was able to pull my job out of it, turn it around, shine a new light on it, and mentally transform it into something that could fit very nicely into my new positive bucket that I had decided to create in my head, where I was going to keep all the positive things in my life. So, a couple of weeks later, a coworker of mine gave me a compliment. He said, "Emily, you're the type of friend everybody needs in their life, but not everyone gets to have," or something like that. And normally I would have brushed it off to one side. My brain would have been thinking things like, well, I don't know if he means it, and I don't know if I can trust him, and he doesn't even know me. What if he's lying? And I would have just had a very critical dialogue attached to that comment. But when I was searching through my day at the end of the day to find the three things that I felt grateful for, of course, that compliment came up. And it really just forced me to accept that that compliment made me feel good. And it didn't matter if I knew whether or not it was true, whether it was genuine. I just had to accept that it did actually make me feel good about myself. And so rather than brushing it off, I allowed that compliment to make me feel the way that I hoped it had been intended to make me feel. And that was quite a big deal for me. And in that, I learned that when people do nice things for you, you never know for sure what their intention is, but it's down to you to choose whether to trust that their intention is good and accept it as that, or whether you want the scared and fearful part of your mind to discount it just in case it wasn't true to begin with. So, over the weeks, um, as I started to add more and more to my lists, I realized that I was capturing the most beautiful version of my life. Things that were being added to my grateful diary were things like going to lunch with mom, having a chat with my friends, sitting outside and soaking up the sun, having an easy dinner to cook, spending more time on a delicious dinner. And what was happening was my brain was finding it really easy to spot the positives in everything now. So, where I normally would have thought things like, I went for lunch with mom, but I had to go to work after, or I had a chat with my friend, but it was only for 5 minutes, or I went outside and the sun was out, but it was way too hot. Rather than having a negative spin on everything, I was doing the opposite and finding the positive in everything that I was experiencing. And I also learned that it really didn't matter like what it was. There wasn't a right or wrong to what I could feel grateful for. Sometimes it was, like I said, having easy dinners, and then other days it was putting more effort into dinners. Some days it was having alone time, other days it would be having company. And so there was no right or wrong. Everything just had its own positive quality. So now I don't feel like I have to keep a grateful diary in order to keep up that mindset. I'm at a point where my brain finds it very easy to appreciate all of the things that are going on in my life. Even if I'm not having the best day, I'm still able to find and very clearly see the good things that are still happening in my life. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, is that everything is happening all at once. Even if you're having a rubbish day, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything good happening as well. It just might mean that you have to spend a little longer trying to find those things when you're doing your grateful diary at the end of the day. So, what I'm hoping is that by sharing this recipe with you, you can also learn to train your brain to be able to see the good stuff that's going on and really just pay attention to it, bring it into focus, bring it into the limelight so that when you're having a day that isn't going the way that you wanted it to, that's not the only story that you're telling yourself. It's not, oh, I had a really rubbish day. I missed my bus. I was late for work and all of this crap stuff happened to me. That's not the story that you end your day with. Your story can become something like, yeah, I missed the bus and I was late for work, but on my way to work, I saw a dog hanging his head out of the window of a car, and it was really funny. And this little girl smiled at me, and it was so cute. And a stranger held the door open for me. Um, and you can just end your day feeling so much better about your life and balanced. Uh, yeah, so that was my story, my journey with keeping a grateful diary, and I hope that you found that insightful in some ways, and useful, and also like reassuring if you are in the sort of mindset that I was in at the beginning of just like feeling like everything's rubbish and you don't have enough of anything. I think that's a very common way to feel in life, um, especially with just like how much how much input we have now with social media, TV, YouTube, like all the different types of media that is thrown at us every day. I think it does take conscious effort to not be left feeling like you don't have enough in life. So yeah, now I will talk you through the recipe. First, choose a quiet moment at the end of your day and find somewhere comfortable to sit. This could be your bed, your sofa, your desk, wherever you feel best. Then, in your mind, walk through your day from beginning to end and try to recall any moments that helped you feel any level of joy or positivity. This could be something that made you laugh, something you found cute, maybe you felt excited or inspired. Then, at the top of your page, write today's date, and below, list in bullet points 3 of the things that came to mind, or more. If you have more, that's always great. Finally, take a moment and sit with this list and just try to arouse a feeling of gratitude. You could say thank you out loud, or you could just say it in your mind, or you can just bring the feeling into your body and just sit with it for as long as you feel you need to. You don't have to stay there for long, but you could try and soak it up as much as possible as well. So just before I end the episode, I thought I would say a couple of things. One being that if you don't already have a journal, I would highly recommend you getting one, even if it's just a notebook from the pound shop. Having a space to keep all of these journal entries in, and if you decide to try any more of the recipes that I'll be sharing with you, there's a few journal prompts in there, and I always think it's great to keep stuff in the same place so that you can read over it and reflect and look back. So yeah, if you don't already have one, I'd highly recommend getting yourself a journal. Number 2 is that this recipe requires a daily practice, so you won't reap the benefits of it if you only do it once. It does require you to practice daily for as long as possible, really. And just a reminder that if you're struggling to think of anything to put in your grateful diary, like I was at the beginning of my gratitude journey, just go back to basics. Think about if you've got a roof over your head, if you ate today, drank water, if you've got clothes on your back. Do you have friends and family that support you, or that you love and care for? And just just focus on those things for now. And yeah, if you want to see more of the recipes that I'm working on, if you'd like to see this recipe written out with a little bit of like extra information on it, then just head over to my Instagram account. It's things you underscore can underscore do. And I am just like sharing everything on there. Plus, I do some reels sometimes. I've done 2 so far. Woohoo! And yeah, just thank you for listening. If you've listened to the whole of this podcast, and challenge for the week is just to try and do a gratitude journal entry every day this week and see how it makes you feel. And yeah, I think that is everything. Let me know how you get on with everything. I'd love to hear your feedback from the podcast episode, and I look forward to the next episode, which I will be talking about writing a happiness list, which is a good a good follow on from keeping a grateful diary. So I will speak to you. I'll speak to you next time. Thank you. Bye.